Welcome to the Rick Fuller Podcast, presented by Rick Fuller, team leader of the #1 team in the San Francisco Bay Area and Sac County for most recent sales, according to Zillow. Rick is a national real estate coach with offices in the Bay Area and Sac County, and he continues to grow. I'm Christina Morales. I'm a writer and I'm a marketer. And Rick, I'm your biggest fan. I say that all the time. We've done so many of these webinars and podcasts because I'm learning a ton. And if I'm learning, I know there's a ton of people out there who are going to learn from you too. So thank you for your time, your insight, your experience. I appreciate it.
Christina, the appreciation and respect is mutual. Thank you so much for spending all this time with me after all these podcasts and interviews and discussions that we've done. And we've got a special guest today.
Yes, today we have Wendy Shearer to help us explore the topic, how can an agent take advantage of the current shift in real estate? Wendy is the lead listing coach on your team, Rick. She's an expert at real estate. She is a beautiful woman on the inside and out. She has tons of knowledge, and I'm so glad you're joining us today, Wendy. I can't think of anyone better to help us address this topic.
Thank you, Christina. You're too kind.
It's the truth. So, Rick, clearly we both respect and love Wendy very much. Can you tell us a little bit about why you asked Wendy to join us and what is her role on your team? How did you meet and how did you establish this listing coach lead?
Well, Wendy and I go way back. We were actually licensed about nearly 15 years ago, about the same amount of time, but I only knew Wendy really peripherally until about 9 years ago. And I saw the way that Wendy served her clients, and it was kind of the heartbeat of what we believe as a team, providing our clients the kind of experience they're excited to tell a friend about. And Wendy had a unique quality, and that's a quality of leadership. And I just knew that with Wendy being a part of our team, this was before our team had grown to the size that it is today, that with her leadership skills and abilities, that we could go far together. And that kicked off, honestly, one of the richest relationships I've had in business. I have thoroughly enjoyed the ability to work and the opportunity to work with Wendy. I interviewed her, and at that time I had 5 buyer's agents, and we had made a transition, and I asked Wendy to take on the job of all 5 of them. And she.
No, how long we interviewed, Rick?
How long
3 days. 3 days.
We interviewed
3 days of interviews.
3 days of interviews, and at that time I was, and somebody had taught me this: be slow to hire and quick to fire. And so I took it literally, even if they didn't mean it literally. I took it. We were going to join the team back then, like we were spending a week together, and there were meals and there were conversation, and our spouse would be there and the whole bit, right? And we just got to know each other. And Wendy actually came in as a buyer's agent on the team, and quickly we realized that there was something special here, and she became our lead buyer's agent. She was then teaching our other buyer's agents what to do and how to do that. And one of those incredible buyer's agents, we have so many amazing, we still do today. We've got, I think, over 20 buyer's agents on our team now.
Wow. Now
call them buyer specialists. But one of the amazing buyer specialists that came in was Shelby Seeley. And Shelby became the buyer lead and then became the buyer coach. And Wendy then joined me on the listing side of our business to help homeowners selling their home. And she became one of our listing specialists. And it wasn't very much longer after that we needed more help. And our team began to grow, and Wendy began working with our listing specialist and then became the listing coach, which is the title that she holds today. And Wendy, how many listing specialists do you have in your group?
We have 8 total, 9 with me.
So 9 total listing, and then now we have lead listing coaches that lead some of our specialists that are on the team. And Wendy holds that role of our listing coach, while Shelby, the one that Wendy trained, now leads our 20+ buyer's specialist and all the variable leads that we have there, the lead agents there. And so Wendy and I have had the privilege of working together. There was a time we would sit in the room, Wendy, you and I, and there was an echo in that room.
Yeah.
And now we have to rent conference rooms and conference event centers and large rooms to hold our team because we can't fit everybody in the same room. It's pretty awesome. And to watch Wendy's growth and development has just been incredible.
That's awesome. I learned a piece of Rick Fuller history today, so thank you. And by the way, you were slow to hire me too, and we did have the meal with our spouses.
Yes.
So it's smart. It's really smart. So Wendy, clearly you've seen many unique circumstances in your various years as a realtor. And Rick, we're going back to COVID-19, and that's when we started these podcasts and webinars. So Wendy, how has this whole pandemic changed the real estate industry and market? What have you seen?
Well, when I sit down and talk to people about that, what I've experienced is just when all of this started to happen, there was a big pause. You know, everybody just paused. And it took about a week for us to think about what was going on, and nobody had any idea at that time that we would still be here today.
No.
You know, we all thought maybe a couple weeks, maybe a month, and then, you know, we started dealing with the schools and children at school and not being at school. And now here we are today, and we're still talking about maybe months out. So it keeps changing. But once we kind of got through that pause, and real estate was then essential again, because initially it was non-essential, which was really interesting to me, because we had people in mid-transaction too. So it was very scary for people. And so we immediately were in that place where we needed to really help our clients in mid-transaction on how to get through to the other side and close those transactions. And, you know, we did have some fallout. We had people who lost jobs, and it was very tragic and sad. But, you know, that's kind of what happened then. What's happening now is kind of not what we expected, or, you know, we were talking about what do you expect? There's a lot of uncertainty with when things start lifting and people are getting back to whatever the normal is, and that's going to change too, is that we were, you know, trying to, you know, speculate on are we going to lose a lot of people in the market and buying because of job loss and things like that. And now we're kind of experiencing something not what we thought. We're experiencing what they're calling the big surge. And so those are the kind of conversations we have with people. On the listing side, we have a lot of people who are ready to jump in and list. It's been very busy. And we had, you know, through this whole thing, I've had people say, wow, you guys must not have anything to do. It's actually been quite the opposite. It's been a lot of work figuring out how to be virtual. You know, we were kind of moving in that direction of virtual before all this hit, so I feel like we had a jump on that. And we were really clunky before, but my goodness, we're getting like really good at it right now. Doing virtual listing appointments. I closed a transaction yesterday. I never met my seller, never once.
Really?
No. It was a virtual listing appointment, a walkthrough on our home. Everything was done through video and online, and we closed. And it's pretty amazing what you can accomplish. So
that's great. And Rick, to piggyback on this, I love that you say that the real estate agent has to be the local economist. You have to know what's going on in the market because you need to educate for you, not just your team, but all of the buyers and sellers out there. So can you give us a little snapshot of the summer's market, maybe compared to last year? Do you see that there's a difference between active, pending, sales? What's going on in the market right now?
Well, it's a great point, Christina. You know, if you are not in the real estate industry, you might assume that what's happening in the market, you know, that the fact that unemployment has really skyrocketed as a result of essential, non-essential, and different businesses. If you're not in the real estate business, you might think that because the unemployment rate is higher, that the real estate market has dropped off, or that the real estate market has declined, or that there's no buyers out there, or there's no sales occurring. Nothing could be further from the truth. And if you listen to the news media might say things like the stock market's down, or the stock market's had a bad day, or the stock market's off. And you correlate naturally that the stock market and the real estate market must be having the same experience. And that could not be further from the truth. Because really what's happening is the market is very, very strong right now. We as a real estate team, and Christina and Wendy know this, we look at the market on a weekly basis so that we have a pulse on the market. And what we find is every week in all 5 of our markets, we have offices throughout the San Francisco Bay Area and Sacramento County. Every one of them, there are more buyers in the market every week, and there is less inventory, less homes for sale. And after doing this business for 16 years, I've learned the one factor that impacts real estate more than any other is supply and demand. And so when you see greater demand, buyers in the market, and you see less supply, those homes being consumed by those buyers, it tells you that prices continue to rise, multiple offers continue to come in, and that we continue to create kind of a heated market. And that is the complete opposite of what you think might be happening in the market, because the stock market's been impacted. Certainly unemployment rate has changed. And what we found is that just because one fender on a car or the bumper might have a dent doesn't mean that the engine is damaged. The economic engine of our economy is the real estate market. And you say, well, how does that happen? Well, you know what happens when you buy a house. You spend your days, your evenings, your weekends at Home Depot and Lowe's, and you hire plumbers and electricians and landscapers and on and on and on. And it fuels the local economy. And the real estate professional, one of the keys to today's market is you must be able to answer intelligently, comprehensively, and with some form of clarity, how's the market? If you can't answer that question, you are out of touch, out of date. You don't have a pulse on the market. And if you answer that question, it's good, it's bad, it's different, it's spectacular, and you don't have any insights or depth in that conversation, it seems shallow. And honestly, it doesn't seem authentic. Anytime somebody asks you, is it a good time to buy? Oh, it's a great time to buy. Or is it a good time to sell? It's always a great time to sell. That seems, it doesn't seem authentic. It doesn't seem real. So being able to kind of peel back the layers and say, let me tell you why it's a great time to sell today. Interest rates are low. Just read an article this week that for Fannie Mae, interest rates have never been lower in history. Wow. Right? Like we need to have this kind of depth. Being able to speak intelligently to the city that somebody has a home or is searching for property about what's happening in that market, that local economy, how many buyers, how many sellers, and what the absorption rate is in the market, how many of those are distressed homes, foreclosures, short sales, REOs, how many of them are move-up properties, what's the degree of new home construction in the community, how many permits are being pulled in. Like being able to have a more intelligent conversation is going to set you apart in this real estate market to somebody who just says the market's good. Mm-hmm. The market, do you want to sell? Then it's time to sell. Do you want to buy? It's time to buy. Those days are over, and people are looking for a real estate professional that has a pulse on the market, because the agent that has a pulse on the market can give great advice that can fundamentally change the buying and selling experience and help somebody get the higher possible price, the least amount of inconvenience in the purchase, in the quickest amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's the perfect lead to my question for Wendy, because people are scared. They're not sure what's going on. They don't know the economy. And so you do need to know. So Wendy, like Rick said, one great way to help your clients is to give them the facts and to tell them what's going on in the market. So where are your clients at emotionally? How are they handling Zoom and virtual open houses? Has the conversation changed? Are they overwhelmed with regulations? What are you seeing right now? And what are you telling them during this stressful time?
Yeah, that's a lot of questions.
A lot.
They are nervous actually when you go to meet with them, because like Rick had just said, they're listening to the TV, the news, or the media, and so they have an idea of what's happening based on their experience, but they really don't know. So when you walk them through the stats that we pull every week, that are real numbers, not pretend numbers, and what's happening, they are relieved, and they feel so much better, because it really is good news. It's not bad news. It's really good news. So there are a lot of layers right now of protection that are put in place legally, contractually, for showing property. And so we are dealing with that, coming up with systems with our own team on how we deal with that, systematize those things. So I think that once we get a chance to really talk with them, they're doing much better. I'm surprised. I thought that maybe you had to be a certain age to feel comfortable about doing Zoom online and that type of thing, and it's not true at all. It's ageless, actually. It just takes us a little bit of time to get through it. But it's been great. Zoom conference calling, a lot of that. Things have eased up a little bit now, so we have had appointments with people with masks, with gloves. I toured a house in Oakland yesterday with everything on, but we got the job done. So everybody is kind of understanding of that, but at the same time hoping that it kind of gets gone soon. So people miss each other. This is a relationship business, and we miss just being with each other. We miss being with our teammates, really, honestly, and then just to be with your clients too. That's a challenge sometimes.
And I know you have agents under you. What are their thoughts and feelings and emotions about all of this? We have a lot of agents who are watching this or will listen to it on our podcast. Do you have any advice for them? Like, how is your team handling it, and what advice can you give other agents to get through this?
Well, my team's handling it great. They are amazing. Really, when that big pause came, all of a sudden, we really didn't skip a beat, and I would, give that to Rick. Rick was, for us, he was right on top of it immediately. We were getting updates probably 3 or 4 times a day, actually. We had a series of versions of group emails that went out that kept us up to date on what was going on with the state, what was going on with our county in particular, which really affects our listing clients and showing property. And it affects our buying clients as well, looking at property. So I think Rick did an excellent job. We have some of the people on our team that have their own personal, they're high risk, actually, with health reasons too. And I could be considered one of those people too. So, we have to make sure that we take care of the health of our own teammates too, as well as our clients. But our agents have been phenomenal, not skipping a beat. They're amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Rick, in past podcasts, we've talked about forbearance loans, people working from home, not being able to afford their homes or needing a bigger home for a home office. We speculated about that, and now we're in Thrive. What have you seen regarding those issues that we thought were going to happen?
Well, there are several, I think, sectors that we are watching very closely. You mentioned some of them. What we know in the next couple of months, that the forbearance plans that were offered in the month of March or April or May of 2020, those forbearance plans typically revolved around a 3-month time period. So you had 3 months of mortgage suspension or even a mortgage deferral, and they put it on the back end of the mortgage. And in my experience, talking to lots and lots of people on these topics, most of them didn't get the deferral. It didn't go on the back of their mortgage. It didn't extend the 15-year mortgage to 15 years and 3 months. What happened is it was simply suspended. In other words, they had to make up those payments 3 months later. And we're now, well, we're early July when we're recording this live. And we're now watching those to see, well, those that used that forbearance plan, that instead of now having a mortgage payment due, they got 3. They have 3 payments that are due.
Wow.
And if they're a small business owner, we know restaurants aren't fully open. We know other industries, tourism is certainly impacted. And there's a lot of businesses that their income hasn't returned yet, and yet their mortgage payment is due. And so one of the things that we're watching is, how do we help serve our community? How do we help serve our neighborhood? How do we help serve our neighbors? That those mortgage payments are now due and they're not in a position to pay them. Now they have equity because the real estate market in both the Bay Area and the Sacramento County have been on a bull run for the last 10 years. In other words, it's just climbed month after month after month over the last 10 to 12 years, depending on what city that you're in. So they have equity, but they may not have the cash flow or the income to make that mortgage obligation. And it may be time to sell the home. We're also watching the eviction moratoriums. If you're a landlord or you own an Airbnb and you've not been able to rent the Airbnb, or you've had a tenant that could not or did not make the rent payment over the last couple of months and you haven't been able to evict them, a lot of Airbnb homeowners, investors, a lot of landlords are now thinking, do I really want to be in the real estate investment business? And it's an opportunity for us to serve those clients that have said, I don't want to be in the rental business. And we've had several of those that our listing group has served that said, well, I don't want to be in the rental business now, or I don't want to be in it any longer. Or maybe they need to do a 1031 exchange and move from one home to a fourplex or a triplex or something like that. So there's a lot of these sectors that we're watching very closely. One thing that we are seeing that's emerging is there's almost a paradigm shift when it comes to working from home. And so we're hearing things like, I need a home office. We're hearing things like, my home's too small. And I've realized that because I've been cooped up in it for the last 3.5 or so months, and I need something a little bigger. Or, my gym's closed. I really kind of want to have a home with my own pool. I cannot tell you how many of our clients, family, friends have put a pool in their backyard as a result of the last couple of months not being able to visit pools and so forth. And so these are clients that uniquely positioned today we can serve, and we can help solve a problem that they have. They don't have a pool. To buy a home with a pool, you get the pool for free. So let's help them transition into a property that with a pool or a bigger home or a home office, help them with those payments that are not being made by a tenant, or maybe get out of the Airbnb business and sell that property. All of these are sectors that we're watching and clients that we're serving in today's market.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So Wendy, I've been cooped up in my house for 3 months. I need a bigger home. I need a home office, and I need a home with a pool.
Good for you.
I was describing more than just you, Christina. You're
It's not all about me.
You sounded too good.
But I've been whining about all those 3 things. So Rick, you've been listening. Thank you. So Wendy, speaking about those 3 things though, and everything that Rick has been talking about, this is a great chance for agents to grasp. We've survived, we've pivoted, now we're going to thrive. So what are you telling your team? How do you grasp this period of thrive? How are you helping people find that smaller home and downsize and adjusting to these changes in the market?
Well, we've got a couple things happening, right? We have what we call iBusiness that we've received. And that's really an individual agent and their sphere of influence, and we call that their SOI. So they have those people that they can serve that they do, and we work on that. We have something called We Generated Business, that would be an example of we generated business, might be an open house, right? We have a lot of listings on our team, and we like to hold those open. And so that would be an example of we came from the team, but we're out there working that open house. And then the other business that we have is what we call team generated business. And that's with our inside sales, or what we call our concierge department. And so it's really kind of three faceted for our agents, focusing on those three areas of generation, lead business generation. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we have tools and systems in place for probably all three of those things. Right now, the team generated business is really what's, you know, bringing our team through. There's a lot of work that goes in generating that business, bringing it in, converting it, getting an agent out there, taking the listing, or getting a buyer rep signed, and getting a buyer's agent and connecting those people out. So that is right now a big part of our business, team generated business.
Mm-hmm.
Wendy, let me ask you this. Since you're working with our listing group, you actually lead our listing specialists. And what percentage do you feel of your total listings, of all of our office listings, what percentage of those do you think are now coming today from team generated business? What is your take on that?
Well, I know what our goal is, but right now our team generated business, I would say, would be about 75%.
Wow.
And the goal is, what's the goal?
The goal is, I think, 30%, 33%. So we want we and team to be the same, balanced. That's what our goal is.
But you know, during certain times, they fluctuate, right? Like
Yes.
we do an event that includes all of our family and our friends and our past clients, and our I-generated business will go up.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of those. And in light of COVID and shelter in place, kind of the events that we've been doing have been minimized. We've done more virtual events.
Yeah.
And so it's natural to say that some of our I-generated business, when we would be meeting with our clients on a regular basis and attending functions or whatever, maybe at the gym or PTA, your school or neighborhood, and you're not doing those things anymore, your church. And then we generated business, and that's been impacted as a result of you can't go to a physical open house.
It has been.
We could do virtual tours, we could do virtual showings, and we do all of those, but we're not doing physical open houses. And so I'm so grateful for the team generated business, because with I-generated business being impacted and team generated business we generated business being impacted, we've really relied on the team generated, and that's generated about 75% of our clients that we're serving right now is coming from our team generated marketing and advertising. You know, and I remember when we started concierge, which is, we try to parallel that, if you haven't heard of that term, we try to parallel that to that of a hotel. It's the idea that there's a service there to just take really good care of your clients. And what we found is that when you take good care of your clients, it begets more clients and it generates more business. And we started building the concierge service several years ago. We had very little team generated. It's all referral, by referral, repeat business. And now we've moved to 75% of our business coming in directly from all of our team generated efforts. And I think about agents, my fellow agents that are in the market that don't have a team, and I'm thinking, wow, you've been impacted like we have with meeting with people on a regular basis.
Right.
You've been limited in what you can do with lead generated or open houses. And if you didn't have the team generated business, there's no wonder that sales in our industry have dropped off significantly as a result of not having all three of those businesses. And it's nothing wrong with having them fluctuate over time. And in this case, we've been very dependent on our team generated business.
Mm-hmm. So Rick, no one knows how long this shelter in place is going to last and this pandemic is going to last, but you're my real estate go-to expert. So how do you think this is going to have, how is this going to have a long-term impact on the market, or is it? And well, you just talked about team generated business. Is this going to be a long-term impact with this new market, and how everything that's going on is going to impact the real estate market?
Well, let's talk first maybe just about the market from a consumer's perspective, then I'll maybe talk about it from an industry perspective. We'll go there. And then Wendy, feel free to add anything to this as well. So from a consumer perspective, we look at what matters to buyers and sellers. What matters to a buyer or a seller? It generally boils down, lowest common denominator, their monthly payment, right? Their monthly payment. Like at the end of the day, they ask, how much is it going to cost me on a monthly basis for that? And what we know right now is that from an industry perspective, that these low interest rates, rock bottom, unbelievable interest rates, I literally have to look at it twice when I see them come across. Not uncommon for us to see interest rates in the 2s and 3s. And we're not talking about adjustable rates. We're not talking about negative amortization. We're not talking about anything. We're talking about 15 or 30-year fixed mortgages. And when we see those low interest rates, it's giving the consumer exactly what they want, which is a low monthly payment. And so the buyer is actually being able to afford more of a home by having those low interest rates. The seller lines up more people outside of their home when they decide to sell it, put the for sale sign in, as a result of having low interest rates. And the seller then takes that, goes and buys another home and uses a mortgage and gets a lower monthly payment. And those low interest rates are really helping spur the economy and the real estate market. To the point where when we track this on a regular basis, we see every week there are more buyers in the market that have greater affordability than they had just a few months ago. And we're seeing our homeowners beginning to realize extreme benefits of not having to do all the things they once did to their property to put it up for sale, being able to receive more than one offer. That means they can perhaps pick one with a rent back or other options that are best for them. Now, when we look at it from an industry perspective, I think it's fundamentally changed our industry. Now, we went into this believing that when the tide changes in real estate, I think a tide has changed. It's the best metaphor I can use. When the tide changes, there'll be two things remaining in our industry. I believe one of those things will be technology. We see that with all of the tech firms that exist, the billions of dollars that are the VC dollars that have been invested, venture capital dollars into real estate, to various different platforms, this technology that exists. That's a very real thing when it comes to the information age and how real estate is changing. Look at the travel industry. 10 years ago, when my family and I took a vacation to the East Coast, I called my travel agent. Today, I don't call my travel agent. I go online to Expedia or Priceline or hotels or whatever, meaning that the world has changed. 5 years ago, if I was on vacation, I would rent a rental car. Hertz, Dollar, whatever. Now I use Uber and Lyft. Like, the world is changing. And that's no different in real estate. Real estate is fundamentally changing. And I believe one of those things that are going to emerge as the tide continues to go out, there's going to be standing technology. And the other one is teams. Because you don't have team-generated business if you don't have a team. You've got to have a team to have team-generated business. You've got to have a team to have a concierge. You got to have teams to have specialists and leads and coaches. And so, Warren Buffett said it this way, Christina, when the tide goes out, you can tell who's been skinny dipping. And I believe that as the tide's going out, we can see that teams and technology are remaining. And if you're operating in one of those, whether you're joining a team or building a team, or you're participating in technology and utilizing tech, like, those are the two platforms I believe that are going to remain healthy and strong into this next market. I believe those two platforms will help you thrive. If Wendy and I worked just as most real estate agents do, very independent in nature, and maybe she serves 20 clients and has 20 reviews, and I serve 20 clients and have 20 reviews, and we both begin to advertise, in some sense, we look very similar to that of the consumer. And they maybe half of those customers go to us, and half of those customers go to me, and half of those customers go to Wendy. But when we begin to combine our efforts, we don't see an addition. We see a multiplication in our results. And instead of it being, 2 plus 2 or 4 plus 4, 8 plus 8, it begins to multiply. And now the results are multiplied as a result of us working together. An amazing thing happens when you start bringing on the right people and you get them on the right seat. And then you have them working on the right assignment based on what I believe is their God-given strengths and gifts and ability. The reason I spent 3 days with Wendy and several days with you, I wanted to understand your God-given strength and ability. Because if I can have you work on what you're best at, you tend to do better, you enjoy your position. And what we realize in real estate is it's very much a people business, but it is also very much a paper business. It's both. And if you're really good with people, but you don't dot the I's and cross the T's, you're going to drive people crazy and end in a lawsuit. If you're really good with paper and not with people, that's great, but you're going to have no clients. So a combination is you get the right people working with people, and you get the right people working on paper, and that combination produces an accelerated, a catalyst for your organization. And at the end of the day, we've generated nearly 1,000 5-star reviews as of the time of this recording. The consumer loves it because they get to work with people that are specialists and not generalists.
Mm-hmm. So Rick has learned that teams and technology will stay. How about you, Wendy? What are some things that you learned during this season? How are you going to apply what we learn now into the future and help your agents that you work with?
I think there's when we go back to whatever normal is, I think there's going to be a lot of things that are going to stay that we didn't think about before. It's probably mostly the technology part. Like I said before, we were moving in the direction of we meet as a team weekly, which is really important to us to be together. We've had to shift into virtual for the last couple months. And I think that there's some benefits to that are going to stick around. The other thing is that also with technology, there's some benefits to doing live stream and virtual open houses, for example, where we can do some recordings and keep them around rather than just a one-time open house. So we're working on those pieces right now to fine-tune them and get the best response out of those things. So I think those kind of things are going to stick around for a long time. And people are not uncomfortable anymore about saying, hey, do you want to jump on a Zoom call? We'll do a listing presentation. That used to be real scary. And our clients and our agents or specialists are not feeling scared about that anymore. So that's going to stick around. So I'm excited about it.
One of the stories that came out of the last couple of months is some of our team members we serve all different types of people. Here in the Bay Area, we're a melting pot of all different types of people. And some of those people we serve are millennials. And we heard from millennials, why weren't you doing this before? I like the Zoom. I don't want to get I don't want to leave my house. I don't want to go meet with you at your office. And I don't even want to go to the home until I know it's the right one. Why don't you Zoom, put a video together and send it to me? And in some sense, this virtual technology, virtual showings, virtual appointments was exactly what the millennial wanted. And when we look statistically, the percentage of millennials buying homes are going through the roof. They're becoming the bulk of home buyers, home purchasers in the market. And so we're meeting them exactly where they want. They don't want to go meet at your office on a Saturday morning. They want to be in a coffee shop, launch their Zoom, have a conversation, enjoy their latte. And then if they like the home that you have to show them, then they'll pop by. And if they don't like it, then we find a new one. And so the technology really, in some sense, was an answer to a vacuum in the market that we were missing the connection when it comes to working with those clients. And in the Bay Area, we're an hour in the Bay Area is Silicon Valley. Our offices are no further than an hour from Silicon Valley. Our closest one's about an hour from Silicon Valley. We're working with people that they get technology and it works great for them, and that's how they want to do business. And without it, you just seem out of date. You seem antiquated. You seem out of touch with the rest of the world. Same thing when it comes to reviews. Today, I find that most people would not eat at a restaurant that they've not eaten at previously without reading the reviews. They won't stay in a hotel when traveling without reading reviews. They're not even going to, select that Uber driver without lots of reviews. And then when it comes to real estate, agents aren't focused on reviews. Like the rest of the world is concentrating on reviews. You'd be hard pressed to find a restaurant that doesn't have hundreds of reviews. Conversely, it's hard to find a real estate agent that has more than 10 on any given platform. And so I think it's just a disconnect in our industry. So when we begin to work together as a team, we're able to let our customers know about the experience of 1,000 other clients. So they can read for themselves if they like that experience, if they want to work with us or they work with somebody else. And by having all of those reviews provides an accurate reflection of the experience our clients have had with our team members and whether we're the right ones for them. And so this technology that exists today, I think is exactly where the consumer, we need to meet the consumer where they're at. And in some cases, we need to get ahead of it and predict and forecast what they want and what they desire and give it to them, since we know the industry and best practices, and we can provide solutions for them through virtual relationships, through virtual showings, through Matterport tours, virtual tours, all the things that we're doing, artificial intelligence with our CRM. So it's figuring out which property to send to them that we think might be the best fit based on their search criteria, what they like, what they saved, and so forth. And by doing that, it helps them have a better buying and selling experience. And what we're convinced of, Christina, is that you might forget what you had for dinner last night. You might forget the last restaurant that you ate at, but you don't forget the last time you moved. Everyone remembers their move. I've now asked probably thousands of people, do you remember the last time you moved? And I almost always get a unanimous raise of hand. Most people remember the last time they moved. If everyone remembers the last time they moved and that experience, then we owe it to them to provide them the kind of experience, not just for them, but for their family. Today in the Bay Area, it's also very multi-generational living. Maybe mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, aunts and uncles, cousins maybe living in the home. There could be a variety of people in that property. And we owe it to them because they never forget their last move to provide them the kind of experience that they're excited to tell a friend about. When we get that right, they want to scream it from the rooftop. We call those reviews.
I like what you were saying about teams and technology. Both of those kind of came into play together on our team when I had a lot of people saying, how do I do this? What do I do? And so together we could learn the technology together, or we could come up with ways to do virtual open houses, and we worked as a team to meet our clients' needs. Alone, it would have been really hard to figure out all of this technology, but as a team, we were able to give the best service possible. And so I thought that was really neat.
I would also say what technology does too for us is it accelerates things too. I mean, we are able to manage many more transactions. We can manage showing more properties with technology. So I just think it really accelerates things too, makes it go much quicker, and we can manage more, especially on a team too. Because of the support that we have with the team, we're able to really leverage ourselves. Being a specialist, being just one part of that team, we can do more together than we can as one person.
And I know the specialist concept that Wendy's speaking of is kind of a foreign concept. In real estate, we tend to like to be generalists. We do property management, maybe we do commercial property, we do residential property, maybe we help with investment. We even offer financing, and we kind of think that by doing everything makes us a better agent. And I would tell you it's just the opposite. Because when you try to do everything, and the average agent in the state of California sells 3.9 houses a year, every time you sell a home in that market, you are learning for the first time yourself. And so how do you navigate somebody through that process of buying or selling a home, giving them the kind of experience they're excited to tell a friend about, if you're learning alongside of them? In contrast to a specialist knows the market. They have a pulse on the market. They've probably written, our buyer specialist, we just talked to, they write offers practically every day for our clients. They have a pulse on how to write the offer, how to get it accepted. Our listing specialists, they know how to price homes. They know how to market and advertise homes. They know how to update their sellers to keep them encouraged and aware of what's happening in the market. And generalists, they're learning along with their clients because they're doing a little bit of everything, where a specialist has a pulse on what's happening in that local market. Now, what's interesting about the specialist, if you thought about it, you probably wouldn't go to a general doctor for a toothache. You'd go to a dentist. So we begin to kind of think of it outside of the scope of real estate. And you're like, of course, a specialist makes sense. But in real estate, we try to be generalists. I sell all properties throughout California: business, commercial, residential, industrial, agricultural, property management. And what ends up happening is we become a jack of all trades and a master of none. And what I have found is that those that are specialists, they can provide a better experience to their customers than those that are generalists. Those that are a specialist typically merit a higher income as a result of being a specialist. You think about your brain surgeon, your heart surgeon, it's in contrast to your general doctor, generally is highly compensated and is a result of their area of expertise. And the specialist provides that. The other thing the specialist provides is it provides a better quality of life. I am convinced that a team member that is a part of a team that's a specialist not only can make more money, can serve better their clients, serve them better, but they can also enjoy a vacation more. They can also take time away more often. As a result of when you're working on a team with other specialists, that's what they do. And it's easy to take a day or a couple of days or a week and take some time off and have that team member cover for them because they're both specialists and they work together with the same tools and systems and resources and transaction coordinators and listing managers and concierge, and they understand all those tools and applications. And it allows you to have a better quality of life. And in absence of working on a team as a specialist, what I have found is when most agents go on vacation, they're just selecting a remote work location. All they're doing is saying, I'm going to work from a resort. I'm going to work now from a campsite. I'm going to work from a cruise ship. I'm going to work from a hotel room. I was there. I don't want to go back to that because it's not fair to the reason you're doing all of this in the first place, which is to usually spend time and be able to provide for your family. And yet you go on these vacations and it's simply a remote work location. That can be changed as a result of working with a team. A team can provide you the support where you can take some time away, enjoy the things that truly, honestly matter most, and then come back with a concierge that has scheduled appointments, not scheduled leads, not scheduled follow-up calls, but put appointments on your calendar so that you don't experience that wild roller coaster that most real estate agents do. They have a client, they sell the home, they have no clients, they wait, they generate business, and they have another client. And it's just this roller coaster in their income. And when you have a concierge and team generated business, we can begin to level out that income and allow it to continue to climb, but without the variables associated with only generating business through your sphere of influence, doing business by referral.
And having a life too.
Can you imagine, and I know I can speak all day on this topic, so Christina, I'll let you take over in just a second, but can you imagine a company like Amazon that says something like, we only do business by referral? Would that be crazy? Or Walmart, we only do business by referral. Or Toyota, we only do business by referral. Now, we all agree that by referral and repeat business, referral only is a cherished part of our business. Repeat business is the best business of all. They know you, they like you, they trust you, come back out. resell my house. You know the house, you know the homeowner. It's wonderful. We all agree to that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the only way to generate business. And if you are caught in that, and I've looked at the reports and profit and loss statements of real estate agents across the country, and they'll tell me, Mom, my business is based on for sale by owner. Then I'd run the reports. Nope, it's fear of influence. And no, my business is all generated through expireds. Then I run the reports. No, it's fear of influence. And what I'm finding is that if you don't work on a team, it's very difficult to generate team-generated business, people that you don't know. Because if all you're working on is a solo agent, then you typically are by referral only. The world we're entering in, referrals are important. Repeat business is imperative, but it's not the only business. And we're moving in a direction where actually that's becoming the minority of our business, not the majority of it.
Mm-hmm. So final question, because we're just about out of time. Rick and Wendy, what is the most common mistake that you've seen agents make during this time? And what should they be doing to take advantage of Thrive? This is what this whole presentation is about, is how can agents thrive during this time? So what's the one thing that they need to do?
Wendy, I'll let you go first.
Just one thing.
One thing? I think that you need to go to work.
Okay.
You need, even though there was, for us that pause, everybody picked back up immediately and continued to work. It's not a job, we know that, where it just happens. It takes hard work. So you need to adapt, and you just need to put your head down, and you need to reach out to your clients and the people who know you, and be there to serve them, whether it's picking up a roll of toilet paper or just asking how they're doing or bringing them some groceries. That's what you need to do right now, is just keep working.
That's great advice. That's awesome. How about you, Rick?
Well, we're going to underscore that point, because what I was going to say is that shelter in place does not mean you shelter your mind. It doesn't mean that you crawl under a rock, that you stop your business, that you stay at home and you do nothing. I remember I was on a call with some other real estate agents, and when we went into shelter in place, they said, now's a great time for me to remodel my kitchen and my bathroom. And I thought, they're going to be spending their time remodeling their kitchen and their bathroom, and they're going to lose any momentum. And more importantly than losing business momentum, there are clients that need to be served. We've talked about multiple sector opportunities that are emerging right now to serve clients. There are clients that are dependent on you to serve them. And if you go and you shelter in place, you shelter under a rock, you shelter mentally, you shelter physically, you have sheltered in such a way that you are bringing an end to your business. It is unhealthy. It is difficult to recover. Most real estate agents remember their first year and how hard it was to build momentum, and you're starting that all over again. Mm-hmm. So reach out, help people, serve people, find people to help them. You can do that with social distancing. You can do that wearing a mask, or you can do that via Zoom, or you can do that via social media, whatever. But you've got to connect with people. So get out of shelter your mind, learn and serve. And if we do that, we will have plenty of opportunities to help our clients. And one of my favorite quotes, Wendy, you've probably heard this now 1,000 times since we've been working together for so long, is by a guy by the name of Zig Ziglar. And Zig used to say, if you help enough people get what they want in life, you'll always have what you want. Mm-hmm. So go help people get what they want. Help them discover their goal and help them realize it. And as you do that, I'm going to tell you, your goals will be discovered and your goals will be realized.
That's so smart. So thank you, Rick and Wendy, for your advice on how real estate agents can thrive and serve others during this unique season. For those who are listening, join us next week when we discuss, should a real estate agent become a real estate investor? And on that call, we'll have Shelby Seeley, who is the lead buyer's coach on Rick's team. So that is going to be an incredible topic to talk about. If you have any questions or comments, visit us at agentsthrive.com and join our Facebook group, Agents Thrive. Thanks for joining us and have a great day. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you, ladies. See you next
Okay.
time.
Bye.